Hello, Pylon here from the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, and today we are excited for the chance to show you a preview of the upcoming chapter for the Elder Scrolls Online, Greymoor. Greymoor takes place in Western Skyrim, which as we know, did not join the Ebonheart Pact. This is why we haven't seen more of this zone earlier in the game. When you start off, you will be able to play through a brand new tutorial which, surprise surprise, you're a prisoner again, or you'll be able to start the chapter when you travel to the zone with an existing character. Greymoor is the second part of the Dark Heart of Skyrim, a year-long Gothic adventure which began with the Harrowstorm Dungeon DLC in March. This means you'll be able to continue stories that you started when you did those dungeons earlier in the year. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about the main quest line here, as I don't want to spoil anything for players who may want to experience it for the first time themselves. That's totally fine, but we are going to take some time to talk about the zones and a few of the new features we can expect to see in Greymoor. So there may be some things outside of the main story that you consider to be spoilers, so consider yourselves warned. And speaking of zones, a good place to start would be with a quick tour of the major hub for the chapter, Solitude. So for anyone who's never played Skyrim, or simply doesn't remember it because it did come out quite some time ago, Solitude is located on the northwestern shore of Skyrim and is one of the largest cities in the province. And even though there don't appear to be any executions today, you'll likely see many things you may remember from the Elder Scrolls V, such as the Bard's College, the Hall of the Dead, and the Blue Palace. There may be some differences as well, as don't forget, you're in the Second Era right now, so some buildings may not be built yet, or may be under different ownership. If we take a look at the map, we can get a feeling for the differences and similarities that exist in this version of Solitude. So my first impression of Solitude in the chapter is that it is beautiful. I haven't had the time to go back and compare it to what we saw in Skyrim to see if it's building for building place where things are, but from what I do remember, the layout is incredibly familiar and it's really easy to get around and remember where you were and how to get there in the new way. For example, you can see right here that it's really easy to go from the Way Shrine and go right to where the guild traders are in Solitude. But Solitude isn't the only city that's been recreated in Greymoor. We can see a number of other cities on the map as we explore around. There are so many places that we didn't get a chance to visit them all. But here we can see Morthal, a town which you may remember had a big vampire problem back in the Elder Scrolls V. I don't know if there'll be an issue here during Greymoor, but vampires are a very big theme of this chapter. So who knows what we're going to see when we get to Morthal. But beyond just vampire-related towns, there are a number of other towns you'll see. The iconic town of Dragonbridge, for example, where we can see the massive bridge that is shaped like a dragon. But again, we're not going to talk about any of the quests here, so you'll have to log in for yourself to see what quests await you in Dragonbridge. There are, however, some other even more interesting zones. For example, 40% of the landmass for the chapter is actually underground in Blackreach. I am very excited to see Blackreach included in this chapter, as it was one of my favorite surprises in Skyrim. If you aren't aware, Blackreach is an immense cavern that is located beneath a large portion of the province and was once home to the Dwemer of Skyrim. While the Dwemer may have used it as an underground trade hub, it has been long abandoned by the mysterious Myr. Now it is populated by a number of dangerous creatures and surprises within the area, including the namesake of this chapter, the vampire castle Greymoor Keep. We know Greymoor is a very dark and Gothic-inspired story, and what good Gothic story doesn't have vampires? Part of the Greymoor chapter is an overhaul of the vampire skill line that we know from the current game, and that will even include some new vampire transformations. You can see them here, but just note that they are still a work in progress, so what you see may change when we get into the live game. Now I want to show you one of the features I am most excited about with Greymoor, and that is Antiquities. Antiquities are more of an alternate activity, something that you can do outside of dungeons and trials and PvP. They're more focused on exploring and lore. Think Indiana Jones, which is heavy focused on the lore in the game. You start off by completing a simple quest found by reading a note in Solitude imploring you to join the Antiquarian Circle. From there, you will have access to 2 new skill lines and a new feature called Scrying that you can access from your journal. You'll meet Verita Numida at the Antiquarian Circle, and she'll give you an overview of what you need to start doing before you can find treasures in Tamriel. The first feature you'll have to master is scrying. Scrying uses an ancient Aelia device to match together objects to make it easier to find items of importance throughout the world. The minigame works similar to a match 3 system that you may be familiar with, where you have to create a path by matching the different shapes to link all of the 6 glowing circles together. The one you see above you is one of the easiest patterns that we need to make, and they continue to get more difficult as you progress. Just a reminder that the UI that you see here is still a work in progress and will be very different when we get to the live game. Once you've solved a puzzle, a map will show up with an area indicated of where you need to go to start digging for your treasure. As a note, this is not easy to find, and I spent almost an hour trying to actually find where these dig sites are. Once you have found a dig site, you will start a different minigame called Excavating. Excavating is more of a Minesweeper style game where you need to dig through multiple layers of dirt to uncover chests containing your prize. As well, you are able to uncover bonus items, but I was never able to find any of myself because I kept running out of time while I did this. It was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed this, but it was more difficult than I expected it to be. I went through a number of times either unable to find where the dig sites were, or not able to finish the scrying, or not able to finish the dig site in time to actually get a bonus item. Most of the rewards weren't actually available in this build of the game. We were only able to really see mounts and motifs, but we do know that furnishings, motifs, body markings, mementos, music boxes, emotes, enchants, siege weapons, mounts, and even mythic items will be available when the game goes live. One of the ones that we were able to see here is the Greymoor mount that is available for uncovering a number of items that you'll see right here. This is the Ebon Dwarven Wolf mount, which we will be able to put together by accomplishing a number of different pieces and then digging them up. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of more complicated scryings that can be done as the time goes on. You'll see above that this is the expert level, where I was never able actually to finish it in the time that I had. I don't know if these were due to bugs in the early build of the game, or I'm just really not good at this minigame yet. So I'm excited to see how this goes and how it might actually be a little bit of a challenge for players who don't want just to have to go to dungeons or complete quests, and they have another option of things that they can do in the game. So while you watch me fail miserably at scrying for the wolf mount, I hope you've enjoyed the UESP's quick preview of the Greymoor chapter. You will be able to play through the prologue quest for Greymoor on Monday, March 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so make sure you log in and get your chance to do that. Thank you for joining us, and if you'd like to learn more, don't forget to check out the wiki or join us on Discord and the various other social platforms which you can see in the description below. I hope you're as excited as me for Greymoor, and I can't wait to see you all in Tamriel.